Today we have a very tenacious and cause-motivated lady with the most gracious and noble heart, Milani Salpitikorala. Milani has an organization called the Child Protection Force, which she formed in 2017. Welcome, Milani.
Thank you.
So would you like to tell us about your organization?
So I founded it 3 years ago based on a project I did alongside the National Child Protection Authority with regard to the justice system. So the juvenile justice system, so the justice system for children. And thereafter, it's something that I learned through this project was that children are not represented in court, and there's a massive load of child-related cases. So it's not only what we see as abuse and neglect and all that, but there is also, where children are affected in domestic violence or with issues within the family. So where children are not represented, and this is what we want to concentrate on. So essentially, we are a legal service representing children completely free of charge. So pro bono service for children. But alongside this legal service, we also provide the child and their family with mental health assistance, because in my years of studying child protection and working for child protection, this is what I've seen: the lack of mental health assistance, the lack of legal aid for children. So that's where we are, and that is essentially what we do, amongst a lot of other things. So the entire psychosocial aspect of the child, so schooling, educational needs, other needs, so all that.
Fantastic. Yeah. So is this a first and the only organization of this kind in Sri Lanka?
So the state organizations like the National Child Protection Authority's main mandate is also child protection, and there are also other organizations, I think, like Leads and Escape. They do also something similar, but our sole concentration is child protection and prevention, and this is within the justice system. So, right. Try to minimize secondary victimization through the system. So this is our main concentration. So I think we are one of the very few in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So tell us, Milani, how many cases would you encounter per day or per week or per month, just so that we can understand the severity of the issue?
Okay, so as of recently, we have received like an explosion of cases.
Okay. And is that related to the lockdown?
I think it is, but I also think that during the lockdown and after, there was quite a lot of awareness made, even from the government organizations and from civil society organizations. A lot of social media campaign on child protection, on safety of children. So I think that is also a reason people are now more aware and they come forward to report. So on a weekly basis, I mean, last week we received about 6 cases on child abuse, and then about 5 or 6 of domestic violence also, and we are a very small organization. So for us to receive that amount of cases, we have about 50 active cases right now, and a whole list of about 600 cases from the year of 2017 only. That is from the Gampaha district only. So that's like a whole backlog of cases that we haven't even touched, because we don't have the resources to actually start working on those. So we are now concentrating on the active cases that we have, which is about 50.
Okay. So what are the typical cases you get? What are the high frequency cases that you get?
So the high frequency are, of course, child sexual abuse, child rape, but also quite a lot of domestic violence, and where children are also physically abused. So they are also victims of that domestic violence. It's not only the one of the partners who are victims of domestic violence. And a lot of drug abuse, also where parents are substance abusers and the children are neglected. So where, you have children who have cigarette burns on their legs, small children. So these kind of neglect, so not particularly abuse, but a lot of neglect. And so those are the main, but if I say the biggest amount of cases we get are definitely child sexual abuse.
Child sexual abuse is the biggest number of cases. So in terms of percentage, would it be 60, 70%?
So the percentage in Sri Lanka now is 1 in 2 children. Okay, 3 years ago when I started, it was 1 in 4 children. So now it's 1 in 2 children. I have 2 children. So it's scary. It's an alarming rate. It's very scary. So
1 in 2 children are sexually abused in Sri Lanka.
Yes, these are the statistics now.
How come the statistics have increased? Is it because of awareness, more awareness, or?
I feel a sense of, where perpetrators think that they can get away with this. I think, and not only with child sexual abuse, if you think of any other crime in Sri Lanka, right? Most of our people think that they can get away with it, right? So it's not that the laws are not strict, the laws are strict, but there is a serious problem with the implementation of the laws. So, like people think it's okay if I do a traffic violation, I can talk to the policeman and, get out of it. So this kind of mindset with any other crime, it's okay for me to do it because I can get away with it. So I think this must be the reason for the increase. And also, also frustration. It's this lack of mental health awareness in our country where, people think it's normal to have sex with a child. They think it's okay. So a huge lack of mental health awareness.
Okay. So Milani, take us through the process. Say you do get a case where a child has been sexually abused. Take us through the process of what happens, what is your intervention?
Okay, so when the client is referred to us, so they come to us with the family, and if they haven't reported with the police yet or anything, the speciality of what we do is we are physically present with our client everywhere they go.
Right.
So if they go to a police station, we are physically present and we will draft the police complaint for them so that most of the work is done in our office where the child is comfortable, where the family is comfortable.
Sure.
So the drafting and everything is done here and they go with us, and in the police station it will take like maybe 1 hour. But if you don't draft it and you go there and explain things and it takes a long time, also because police officers are overworked. There's a massive load of cases that they need to handle, so we are making their job also a little bit easier. So from there, then police, because it's a crime and it's a crime against the state, so the police will report it to court and we will appear on behalf of the child as a lawyer appearing on behalf of the victim, on behalf of the aggrieved party. The child is only a witness to the case, and it is a case against the state and the police will carry on the case, but we are always there to represent the rights of the child. And of course the court case will go on, but while the court case goes on, it is mandatory that the child and the family, whoever is affected, come in for mental health assistance. So we have sessions, we have a child psychologist working with us, so we have like behavioral therapy, we have art therapy, we have neuro-linguistic programming, so these different types of an array of therapy sessions for children to come in also, and this is done weekly. So there are also other children who are, they need to get their anger out, they need some kind of outlet. So we have an amazing boxing coach, so they also go for boxing, and most of the kids have said that has really helped them.
Fantastic. Yeah. So how long do these cases take?
This is also a problem, a delay in our justice system. A typical case of child sexual abuse will take at least 15 years to finish, at least.
15 years?
15 years. I have right now a case that we have been handling for the past 10 years. He's 15 now. He was abused when he was 5. And he was also sexually abused when he was 10. So that case is still in its initial stages. So the earlier case is now at trial stage in High Court. So yeah, at least 15 years for a case to finish.
So what is the point then?
This is what everyone keeps asking me. So this is a serious concern within our justice system that I think policymakers need to really look into. Because, I mean, for a simple example, if you file a human rights case, a human rights violation in court, the case has to be finished in 3 months. That is the timeline for a human rights case. Because if you don't get relief there, then you can file it in the Human Rights Committee.
Okay.
Right? But so what I'm saying is, if a human rights case can be finished in 3 months, why not a child rights case? Why not a child protection case? So it's also simple solutions that policymakers need to seriously think about. I have a feeling that children don't have a vote, so they don't have a voice.
Right.
And this might be a reason for the, the less concentration on child protection. But of course, there are quite a lot of positive steps taken as of recently, and also. So if these are continued, and where within changes of government, they don't change policies but stick to a policy, because child protection is a state problem and it's not a political problem, right? It's a responsibility of the state. So you can work for whatever government, for whatever political party, but keeping in mind that you are a state employee. You work for the state, you work for the betterment of Sri Lanka. So that means Sri Lanka means our future, our children. Yeah.
So Milani, what you're doing is essentially you're putting out the fire.
Yeah.
Right. But what is the root cause, and how can you address this root cause, in your opinion?
Okay. So one thing I don't believe in is angry activism. Okay. We don't want to fight.
Yes.
We don't want to fight with government. We don't want to fight with people.
Yes.
Right. But let's just look at, okay, we know the problems, right? The root cause is definitely the lack of education on child protection, child safety, sex education. So this is definitely a root cause. And also the fact that people are not educated. So lack of education, and policymakers and other organizations who haven't come forward to educate the masses on child protection. So that, and also the ground level actors. So you have the government actors. We have probation officers, we have national child protection officers, we have district child development officers, we have child rights promotion officers. So all these within the district level, within the divisional secretariats, and these officers are going through a huge lack of resources. Resources by way of money, resources by way of goods, transport, safety. So there is no state protection for them, and they work very closely with children. So grassroots level actors. So that is also a huge problem, right? So if there is any solution, it would be to empower these officers first, right? There are these things. There is this committee called a village level child development committee. Right, so they are all the Grama Sevaka, the CRPOs, the grassroots level officers, and that itself is enough to curb this these statistics. So if state will actually take action into empowering these officers, empowering the children, the parents and the teachers, because that is also one whole circle of the child is closest to the parent, and the second parent is always the teacher. Right. So the child will always go and talk either to the parent or to the teacher. So if they are made aware, if they know how to deal with a child who is going through something, and if the child knows, this is how I protect my body, this is what is body safety, and this is what I should do. And also if the child is emotionally intelligent, that was tried by the previous government with the Think Equal program. So if during early childhood education, the child is taught about emotions, how to identify his emotions. A lot of these harm towards children can reduce. I mean, these are good practices in other countries, and we have to always try to see what they're doing and try to adopt those good practices in Sri Lanka and to see how they'll work here. So yeah.
How do you relate understanding emotions to abuse?
Okay, so very simply, if, say for example, the two of us are right here and there's a huge explosion outside, right? My heart would start beating, I'd probably start sweating, right? So that is my body giving me a warning sign.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Your flight or fright response.
Yes. So my body is saying, Milani, get scared, run.
Yes.
Right? So we teach this to the children. So we tell them, you might have a stomach ache. Ask your body what's going on. Right. Identify it. Or like, anger. So the Think Equal program had these colors for emotions. So, and if you're angry, you see red. So identify that emotion. Know what that emotion is. So the moment you know it, you know what to do.
Okay.
So for example, in a child sexual abuse, almost always your body will tell you this is wrong. A child will know this is not right, right? So we're giving them that emotional intelligence to have the knowledge, stop, okay, this is not right.
Okay, to address it.
With
the perpetrator.
Exactly.
Milani, you obviously face a lot of challenges. Could you name me your 3 biggest challenges?
Okay, so the main challenge is trying to have access to government bodies, but I think we have started to build that relationship up. Also, financial resources is a huge challenge because we are not affiliated with government. We are a private body trying to, make changes within our systems. So financial resources, and at this time in the world where, resources are less, so that has always been one of the biggest challenges. And finally, I'd say the mental health of my team, because we listen to horrific stories on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have to keep my team mentally balanced all the time, and myself. So we conduct regular sessions for ourselves, and we have a lot of free time and all that, just so that everyone is emotionally well before we actually start projecting it out towards our clients.
Fantastic. Yeah. So what is your vision for your organization? Is
definitely to try to make the Sri Lankan justice system for children a little bit more child-centric. So try to create a holistic approach towards justice system for children. So there is also a lot of, these child perpetrators, children who have committed crime. And in Sri Lanka, they are taken through the criminal justice process. So just like an adult who has committed a crime. But in a lot of other countries, there are new systems called restorative justice, where children go through a completely different system and not the criminal justice system. So they are not jailed and they are not punished, but rather where the whole situation is restored. So it's more of, it's very holistic, it's very kind of on a therapeutic scale rather than a retributive, angry system, which is for the past millions of years has never worked, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is what, my vision, our vision next 5 years, to try to make our justice system a little bit more child-centric, where the child is not re-victimized within the system.
Okay, Milani. So what I can take from our lovely session is that children need more rights in Sri Lanka, and the cases, all these cases that come take so long, decades sometimes, and that needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And of course, you were saying to make the system better, the state workers for child protection need to be empowered.
Yeah.
They need more funding. Then parents, children and teachers need to be educated.
Absolutely.
On their rights and also emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think that sums it up.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Milani, for
Thank you for having
coming.
me.
Is there any message you'd like to convey to the public?
I mean, I've already covered it, but if it is, even if you're a parent, if you are an adult citizen of Sri Lanka, just watch out for our children. You know, keep an eye open, take few extra steps, you know, make the complaints. Don't only be a social media hero. Just go out there and protect our children, that's all.
Thank you, Milani.
Thank you so much.
We had this amazing, tenacious lady, Milani Salpitikorala, from the Child Protection Force. Thank you so much, Milani,
you.
for all your work. And we need more people like you.
Thank you so much.